Miki. I'm from Chicago, born in Cook County Hospital. Raised on 54th and Ingleside. Actually was born on what is now Martin Luther King Drive. Growing up in Chicago, the influence that Chicago had on my music is, I tell you, I don't think I'd be who I am or doing the kind of music I do if had not been for Chicago. Walking to school in those days, there were taverns everywhere, and you would hear the music at all times of day and night, especially coming home from school. It was one of my favorite things to do was to stick my head into the tavern and hear the music coming out, and most of the time it was Etta James or a couple of artists that we don't hear a lot of anymore today, but there were lots and lots of female singers during those times in the mid-'60s, and certainly Aretha Franklin, which used to depress me because my mother played, what was it? If You Want a Do-Right Woman, she played it until I just couldn't stand it anymore. But I loved Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone. People like this were not only played in our home, but were known to my mom and dad as friends, you know, and when we listened to them, we listened as if they were, you know, people that we knew and not just something we heard on the radio, because we really didn't hear them on the radio. Little Jimmy Scott is one of the people that influenced me to record Imagination. I couldn't wait to grow up and be able to sing like Little Jimmy Scott and Nancy Wilson and Nina Simone and Shirley Bassey and Judy Garland. And these were the people I admired growing up in Chicago. They were heard a lot. We moved to Los Angeles in 69 or 70, and my mom always said, don't take me back to Chicago. She told my dad not to keep me here because she was afraid of the fact that I wouldn't turn out well, because I would probably drift off to the bad communities and things like that. You know, she was really afraid of that. And she knew that I would flourish wanting to be an entertainer in Los Angeles. So that was part of the reason she moved us there. My mother died during, you know, high school, and I was very, very angry, and I would lash out, and, you know, I just didn't go to school anymore. There was nobody to make me. I wasn't going. And I hung out at the studios, and I was making records. And one day, I got kicked out of all Los Angeles School District, and they put me in continuation after a year of being out of school. And when I got called into the counseling office, she told me that she needed me to repeat the 10th grade, which was not going to happen. I was like, okay, well, that's the end of that. And she says to me, the counselor says, you know, I played her a record called In the Meantime I had done with the LA Boppers, and I was my first lead singing solo. And she's like, I think you should quit school and, you know, pursue your career. I think you'll do well. And I did, and she told me to get a GED, which I did. I got a GED, and went to LA City College because it was near the beach and it was free, and, you know, they helped you out when you went to college. So I went to college there and just continued to sing and make music, and I joined a group called Side Effect, quite by accident. Augie Johnson had discovered me at a pageant, you know, for church, which I wasn't old enough to be in the pageant, so I just was singing. So Augie Johnson was in a group called Side Effect. They had a big hit out called Always There and Keep That Same Old Feeling. And they were working with the Crusaders, Wayne Henderson from At Home Records. And I was the only female in the stable of artists, period. And I was very, very young, 16, 17 years old. Eventually, I got put on several records. Everything that came out of LA, almost, I sang on from 75 until 81, almost every record, every Gap Band record. We were taught in those days that there was no such thing as I sing or I dance. You sing, dance, act, chew gum, walk backwards in high heels. You know, you entertain, you tell jokes, you do the whole thing. You know, you never see a movie with Doris Day where she doesn't sing, dance, and act. It's what's expected of you. You know, there were specialty artists, like maybe a Billie Holiday and, you know, people like this, but you still, you know, you could sing, dance, act. My first check was $10,000 for singing, and I cashed it and put it in the drawer. I'll never forget it. I bought a television, you know, and I was very, very young, 18 years old. So I just always made a living singing. When I got to California, I certainly wanted to act, and I still enjoy it. You know, I did lots of different things and plays, and you know, you learn to do the time step, and you know, we went to Fred Astaire's dance studio. This was something you do. You don't. I don't know if they don't do it anymore, but it was part of being a singer, an entertainer. You know, you do all of these things. So, I certainly wanted to be in movies, and just being an overt person, I met casting director Robbie Reed, who was consequently great friends with Spike Lee and Malcolm X came along through her because she had seen me do my Billie Holiday thing, you know. I had 1 or 2 songs to sing on a tour with Cameo. It was my first tour. And when we played Radio City Music Hall, I did Billie Holiday. And she saw me do that. And, you know, Spike was casting Malcolm X, and they brought me in for that, and they was like, there's no other person. You know, people actually think I am Billie Holiday reincarnated. I can tell you a story. I wanted to see Abby Lincoln, who's one of my mentors in my heart. And she didn't know me, and I went to the show. This is maybe 5 years ago, and I wanted to meet her. My son took me because he knew how much I loved Abby Lincoln, and so we get up to the dressing room door, and she's gone to the restroom. So we were just waiting outside the door for her, and so she comes from the restroom at the Blue Note in New York, and comes to the dressing room door, and she stops, and she says, "You're one of us." I was like, "Yeah." She said, and she goes, "You remind me so much of Billie. You're so much like Billie." And this was all in 2 glances, and I was mortified. I was like, "Oh my God!" She didn't know who I was. She didn't know that I sang. She didn't know anything. And she brought me in her dressing room, and she just kept saying, "Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long for me to meet you?" And this and that and the other. And she still, but when I left, didn't know that I was a singer. I never told her. I just enjoyed that spiritual moment with her, you know? So that was a big thing to me. As far as meeting Denzel and filming with Spike, you got to think back. This was days before that they were so big, and we all came from the same community. Robbie Reed was great friends with Spike, you know, and Denzel. You know, she really put them on in a lot of ways. And I used to say to Robbie, "Why do you use the same actors for everything?" Because you would see the same black actors and everything, the same ones, you know, Halle Berry, and I said, "Why do you use the same ones?" She said, "Because I need to establish them first. Because if you keep using different ones all the time, then they just, you know, but if you establish the artist." And that's what she did with Denzel and Spike, and, you know, and working together. So it was a very tight and close-knit community, you know, especially in the late 80s and early 90s. When I got to go work with Spike and Denzel, I wasn't working with stars or people I didn't know. These were people I knew and saw all the time, and, you know, Denzel's wife, Paulette, was, you know, singer. You know, we were all in the same circle. So to me, it was just like, "It's early, ain't it?" "Yeah." "What are you doing?" or when I got to do Poetic Justice and work with Tupac was the first time I really worked with hip-hop writer, you know, rappers. I spent hours with Tupac. One reason is because when I got there, I was not a star on the set. You know, they had Janet and big trailers, and Tupac had and everything, and they put me in a horse trailer. And I was like, I went to, you know, I was like, I know I'm new to the movie business, but I'm not staying in the horse trailer, you know, because he's like a kid to me. I'm like, you got to do something. So John Singer gave me his trailer, which was right next to Tupac's. And Tupac would have like all these guys in there, you know, testosterone, and a young, pretty 32-year-old female. "Hey, yeah, what's going on next door?" You know. So he would bring his guys over, and we'd eat lunch together, because we certainly didn't want what was usually given at catering. You know, we'd send out for barbecue or chicken, and Tupac they sitting there and they're smoking blunts, like big old blunts, you know, and you open the door, it's just smoke everywhere. but he was a lovely person, a gentleman. We had he would rub my feet. We'd sit there and he'd rub my feet. He would talk about, he got married because of our conversations about, you get married and, expected to live this sort of a kind of life. And then all of a sudden everything went haywire. Like, he was like, oh, Tupac is getting high, and he just went crazy. He was like starting to fight people, and he'd come in every day with different tattoo, and they were like, what is that? What are you doing to yourself? I didn't have any understanding for it. What is going on? All I knew was we don't associate with people like that. That's what I knew, that bad association spoils youth for habits. And that looked like bad association at that time. So you just kind of say, I hope everything is all right. Is Pac okay? And I used to call him Tupac-y. That was a very interesting time. And he was such a nice person and such an innocent person. Really, 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 really. It takes a lot of innocence to be able to say, you're wrong, and what you're doing is wrong. Because you don't know not to do that. That's a better way to do that. But when you're young and passionate and innocent, you don't really know the consequences of what you're doing. You know the consequences of somebody shooting you, but you don't really know the consequences of what you're doing when you're behaving like that. And he was one of those people. I saw Denzel get the, Oscar. I'm excited for him. That's so good, But mostly I wonder, are you okay? Is everything good in your life? How are your kids? He's got twins, and we have kids around the same age, and I think like that, more in terms of that. And is your home success? That's success. Are you okay? Can you walk out and not, trip out that I'm outside? That type of thing I worry. So I hope they're okay. I don't see them anymore too much. What happens to me is like, I don't see Spike Lee anymore. And these people that I knew to be very humble, talented people that really wanted to make a distinguishing athletic statement, became people that just want success in terms of I want money, or, I'm not successful if I don't have a Golden Globe, and I want to be in this realm of people. I don't think of success like that. I haven't seen Spike Lee, and I don't see Denzel Washington too much, but he's still in the same crowd. I just didn't go to some things that they go to. But I hope that they have success at home and in heart. That's real success. I'm Miki Howard, and I rock jazz. You changed my life around, placed my feet on solid